What are some interview questions that you think that new grads should be asking when they're looking for a job?
Interview questions that new grads should be asking when looking for a job. What a great question. I really think that if I were to swap around, and kind of flip the tables and be a new grad interviewing with me or with myself, what I would ask is, what are you, really truly, like, what are you looking for in your next PT hire? And I would put the owner of the business on the spot, and say, here's what we do, really have them sell the practice to you. Why are they special? How are they different than the run-of-the-mill practice? I think that, new grads tend to overestimate their value to the marketplace because they don't know their value to the marketplace yet. And quite frankly, you don't have the skills yet. You have no skills, so it's our job as clinic owners to teach you those skills, to make you really a specialist in whatever you're good at your clinic. Each clinic has different specialties and ways that they do things. Every clinic, values has different core values. Every clinic has different, key performance indicators. So I would ask, what are the measures how do you measure your PTs on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis? What are the metrics of success for your practice? As a new grad PT, where would you like to see me in 3 years? Where would you like to see me in 5 years? And typically I'd flip that around because I always ask that question I'll say, where do you see yourself in 3 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And, if somebody has an entrepreneurial spirit, I love it. Come on board. And, one of the best decisions I ever made was working for somebody else, Tom and Eileen, because really you have no other option when you're a new grad. You need to go learn those skills. And quite frankly, it's irresponsible not to go learn those skills and learn them on somebody else's dime. Really, it makes the most sense. It's just intelligent. I made a lot of mistakes in my entrepreneurial journey, and there are a lot of mistakes that I wish I'd made under somebody else's tutelage, because they're expensive. But, learning about people, there's such a steep learning curve when you first graduate that, business owners, at least I don't expect a super high bar from a new grad. I just expect you to be a good person and to be curious. Mm-hmm. And I think if you can be a good person and demonstrate curiosity, you're going to get the job. Specific interview questions, that I always ask, if you were to be an animal or come back as an animal, which animal would it be and why? I ask that because it gives me a little insight into somebody's personality without me just asking them how they are. How would somebody else describe you? How would one of your friends describe you? Another interview question that I randomly ask is like, what do you put on a hot dog? Just to kind of break up the monotony of what are your strengths and weaknesses. I feel like the strengths and weaknesses thing is just so over practiced and kind of, just not genuine. I feel like people are like, it's like my weakness is like the weakness is always practiced to not be a weakness. Like you're a new grad, like you have so many weaknesses. You don't even know how to do the job yet, right? You think you know how to do the job, but hopefully you're well prepared in school and in your clinical rotations. But there's a lot to learn, and that's okay. We expect that new hires and even PTs a couple years out of school who haven't done orthopedics yet, like it's a whole new world, and that's okay. We want that. We just want somebody coming in with a basic level of excitement and curiosity to do the job and somebody who wants to help people.